Happy Saturday or Sunday, depending on when I release this, to the fantasy group, Madison Fantasy. Welcome back, Fantasy PD. Dan, please put in your AirPod. First off, I would like to thank you for your service as commissioner to this league. But
I can.
second off, what you have done to upgrade our podcast studio is something that I haven't seen many other fantasy podcasts do. You look at Friends of Madison Fantasy, you look at Busty Broads and Bible Boys, which we are eagerly awaiting.
I can't wait.
Walk us through it. Welcome. Good to have you here.
I'm happy to be here. A little sad that our friend Nick couldn't join us today. He's on a staycation. Don't know if you heard. So pouring out for him. But yeah, it's awesome to be in the new studio. I've been putting some overtime to get us a down payment. And it's great to finally move in.
You know, it's lovely here. We've had wonderful hospitality. I think you even had some pineapple jerky.
I did indeed. Yeah, it was delicious.
Nice, all infused. Well, yeah, it was good review on the pineapple jerky. They should try it. People should try it. Okay. Well, welcome everybody. Like I said, we are happy to be here, and we obviously have a podcast which was a little bit delayed, but for good reason. We were just finishing up all of the final aesthetics here at our podcast studio, which will be named at a later date. And we're excited to get into things. Obviously, a big week ahead. I think we've got a lot of things to dive into. Some big matchups happened last week. Some upsets happened. So we can jump into things. Go ahead. I think you were going to say something.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you want to talk about some of the biggest surprises of last week? I think, at least for myself, the dynamics of the season has changed drastically. Where I was thinking, my season's I bit the dust almost. I had my swan song. Goodbye. But I came alive. Huge win, and it gets me right back on track to where I need to be.
I agree. I think that, now can you count on two players going for 6 touchdowns every single week? Maybe. The answer is maybe. Definitely not this week because Christian McCaffrey is on bye. So we'll get to your matchup eventually, which might be, a little thin at the running back position. However, if DeAndre Swift is out, you might be looking really good with 2 RB1s in there. Not this week, obviously. You've got Nyheim Hines, who sounds like not many suitors.
I shopped Nyheim Hines a little bit today. I got a ton of offers. People were really trying to get Nyheim Hines. They know that him going to the Bills, he's on a high-powered offense, and he's going to get a lot of touchdowns. Maybe 3 this week. I saw a couple people write about. So I decided, even though great offers came in, I decided I'm going to keep him on my team.
Okay. Well, and the thing is, obviously this is Christian McCaffrey's bye week, but you would have been without Jonathan Taylor this week had you still had him on your team.
Yeah, absolutely. The JT trade really panned out for me. It's really looking bad for Berg. JT's really kind of in the toilet since getting the team Berg. So we're sorry, JT owners and Berg. But at least I got CMC out of it.
Hey, you got Christian McCaffrey, obviously a passing threat, running threat, and catching threat. So before they all turn it off, we should probably just segue away from your team a little bit. A couple things. Obviously, Berg did get it done last week. He took down Shaw. That was a big one for me. Jake losing to Chris was also massive. I think that really surprised me as well. There were a lot of upsets.
The hopes of the undefeated season are gone. The thought of that happening kind of made me cringe. So that was nice to see. And also, those 2 dingbats that host a podcast, it's nice to see Berg get the upset. Good for him. I'm happy that he beat Shaw, actually.
Yeah.
Shaw was a little bit too high on his high horse. So seeing him come back down to reality was nice this week.
Absolutely. Well, Shaw, we still love you. Obviously, we'll get the power rankings here in a second. But there's a lot of middling going on in the league right now. I think we've got a lot of big matchups this week. So why don't we go ahead and jump into things? I'm going to share here. So let's make sure that this works. We've got a couple cameras going on today, folks. So we do this for you. I just want you all to know that we will. All right. So let's head on over to just from last week. I believe we should be sharing and this should be recording, but Dan, why don't you talk us through? I'm just going to step over here and make sure that our podcast studio is all set to go. All right, we are good. We are live.
Yeah, I think and this is upcoming.
This was last week. These were some of the takeaways. You went 3-3. The people went 3-3. 1-5 for myself, 2-4 for Nick. So you are expert prognosticator at this point.
I think the one thing that was a surprise is you losing. I think I thought you'd win. Just about the entire podcast thought you'd win.
People are smarter.
People knew. And I think those two back-to-back losses you had really kind of changes the situation you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, I think the low score last week. It's really putting you where you had this big advantage of points for. You're still in a good spot, but you're playing catch up a
little bit. I think a lot of the league is playing catch up right now. 6th seed obviously determined by points. So it's going to be, we're in a Bimageddon right now.
For sure.
And I think we're going to see some big swings on points this week. Some points for. I think some people are going to have some rough weeks. I think there's going to be, there could be a sub 80 week this week.
Hot take, I think this might be our lowest point week that team has.
Yeah.
6 teams on bye. Those 6 teams are all teams that have playoff aspirations and have guys roster.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously coming up, let's move on to our next section, which we'll stop sharing here and jump more into our power rankings. And we've got a new segment this time around where we're usually going to share it with people. But Dan, why don't you bring in our trusty, not whiteboard, but Post-it notes, and we'll kind of go from top to bottom on where, us two see the league. We really know that the people watch this, they think we're clowns.
Agreed.
At the end of the day, too, we might be. We very well could be.
A lot of people forget that you and I were in the championship last season.
We were.
Our teams have hit some rougher patches this season. Got some very lucky teams in Matt, Nick, and Chris kind of rising to the top. You got Alvin Kamara, video of him beating up a guy. We'll see how that kind of throws a monkey wrench to the Matt, Nick dream season, but it's exciting to see.
TMZ is really becoming more of a, amateur boxing or jumping type of, entertainment and, not entertainment, but, more for the people, more of that type of news. You look at the Draymond Green situation, you look at Alvin Kamara. People are saying that I believe this week Matt Nick has who does Matt Nick have this week? I totally forget. I apologize, Matt Nick. But people are saying that okay, and yeah, they're saying that Jake might have been the one that leaked the video.
I've heard that.
Yeah, so obviously you watch, he thought Jamar Chase might come back a little quicker, but then when he said, "Oh, I lost to Chris," and I got Matt Nick on the horizon. Yeah, he's saying, "All right, I'm going to pull out all the stops." So that's where we're at. It'll be interesting to see. So why don't we head on over to our trusty little Post-it notes here, and we can you can kick us off.
Yeah, so we're starting with the power rankings like we usually have, but we're going by one section at a time. So we both have Jake in the bye week category. I think that's obvious reasons. I think even though Jake's team is kind of taking a little bit of a rocky patch, I still think he's got the bye week secured.
I agree. I mean, you look at his lineup, and he's got Nick Chubb and Austin Eckler, and Josh Allen is unbelievable.
He is so good.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder like at what place would be like the most reasonable if you redrafted, where he would go in a half PPR single quarterback league, and it would be like that makes sense. Like, yeah, if somebody took him in the second round, I'd be like, and you knew he was 25 a game basically.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
and the teams without good quarterbacks, you are seeing struggle.
Exactly, and obviously he just picks up so much. So we can rip that one off. Just give it a good old tug. I know you've done that in the past. So we've got in our playoffs. This is we don't have any difference here. For those of you, you can't see the colons that we have there. This is not Dan and I saying that we are in the playoffs. This is Pete's picks of Herbert and Matt Nick, and Dan's picks of Herbert and Matt Nick. You can tip it back for the people. They should be able to see at this point, except if Rabdo affected the eyes. But let's walk us through. What do you got here?
Yeah, I think Hebert and Matt Nick are in this point where they're battling for that second bye week. It's going to be interesting who gets it. I think Hebert putting so much emphasis on the Baltimore backfield is going to bite him.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually like Matt Nick sneak into the bye week. So I think in the coming weeks, you'll see one of these guys move up to the bye week category, and my money is.
Yeah, obviously this is a little bit more record for me. If there's anything that's long term with Booper Bup out there that could shift things. Obviously, Saquon's been quite incredible, and we'll see if there's any drop off for the namesake Justin Herbert and his heroes, and he's lost two of his heroes.
Yes, it is a ghost squad out there, and we'll see if Alvin Kamara goes to jail.
Well, Matt Nick might pay his bail. So that's who we've got in playoffs. And then let's head on over to the next one that we have here, our third tier. And we do have a little bit of differing opinion here. So we've got the contenders here. So in my contenders, I have got Chris, I've got Toy, I've got Cole, I've got myself, and I've got Dan. Dan has the same exact, but he's got Shaw as well. So Dan, take us away.
Yeah, so I think all of these people have a chance to make the playoffs. I think even though Shaw's team is so bad and his players stink, I think the fact that he's 4-4 right now, he just needs to eke out a few more wins to get there and keep that position of playoff bound. I do think that he is teetering, though. I know you haven't moved down, but I think he still, in my mind, is a favorite to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I do have Shaw in the lower tier. We'll jump right to that one and kind of where I'm at. Well, keep that up there. I want to talk through this a little bit more. But Shaw has got Herbert's heroes this week. And spoiler, that's a very close projected game. It's separated by one. They're both projected just about 90 points. Shaw's favored the win. If you're Chris, it basically means that you have the win because he just goes off of projections at this point. So, however, my pick will be against Shaw in that game. And then Shaw goes against Jake next week with Joe Burrow and Joe Mixon on bye. So that is where I said, all right, like I think there's going to be, but he would be sixth place, or I don't know, he'd be like the top point scorer to get in at sixth place right now. But I think that it struggles ahead, and losing Breece Hall is obviously massive. So, his anyone here can make it in. Anyone really in the next one can as well. But I do really like, once again, I've said this every week, I do like Toy's team. I still think if he figures out a quarterback, it could be really good. He got off Jamar Chase, and with Michael Thomas being out for the year, Chris Olave steps in really as the true number one, and that's a lot of insurance heading forward. So I'm also excited to see Devontae Adams play without the flu this week and hopefully get over 0.6 points. But if not, that would be good. Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. So he was out of practice all week until he was limited on Friday, played with the flu, and it wasn't good. So Chris continues to roll, does what he does best, gets wins, and continues to move on. If he gets any slippage if he gets shaky on wins, it could get bleak fast. Are not great, but continues to get wins. Winning against Jake last week was massive for him. So let's head on to the last one. I think we've got some serious discussion here.
Yeah, I think one thing.
There we go, Dan. Why don't you stand up? There it is. We've got our last one here of bleak.
And I think the one thing you said of even these people can make the playoffs, that's where I disagree with you. I think there's two people, for you, three that can. But I think Berg is just about accurate.
Oh, yeah. I want everybody to know that in the bleak category, we just didn't want to waste any more paper because we're setting this up. We went through a few iterations, and I wasted a lot of paper, but Berg would not be in bleak. That would be another category. But once again, I just didn't want to waste the paper.
It makes sense, and we're doing this with trees. But, yeah, Berg is, for all intents and purposes, out of playoff contention.
Yeah. It's bad. That's about all we really need to say. I know we touched on Shaw here. Nick's team is interesting to me right now. I play Nick this week, and Nick could very well go in and beat me this week. Anything can happen in fantasy, right? You never know. However, Nick's team right now obviously has been, an issue to injury. And if you look at it, number one, DeAndre Swift, definitely not 100%. Probably won't be anytime soon.
He said, and I quote, I will not be 100% this year.
So ETN has been an absolute stud. Absolutely love that. He does have two Los Angeles Chargers starting. He's got the tight end and the wide receiver. So putting a lot on those individuals. Courtland Sutton is out this week, and then he's got Zeke. So he's got some pieces. I think that this week will show me a lot about Nick's team, and I could have him moving up. Actually, he could totally knock me off. I'm going to pick myself in the matchup, but that's what I've got. What do you think?
Yeah, I think this is a bit of a spoiler. I do think that you or Nick would be in the bleak category next week. One of you guys have whoever loses this week's matchup, you're basically saying, I need points for.
The only way we're not is if we both put up over 130.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
If you both put up big numbers, you might be in a better position and wouldn't both be in the league. But I think with Bimageddon, with the tough, and anything is possible. So I thought about keeping both you and Nick in contenders, but this is me getting ahead of the week a little bit. I think Nick loses this week, and maybe I'll have to eat my words and move him back out of this. But for right now, I have him.
The thing about doing a podcast is that we step out there and we say, you know what, weekly we're going to produce content for the league. And we say, you know what, these are our opinions. These are not facts. And, there's some individuals in the league. I'll give you an example. There's a gentleman on the East Coast. He runs a little hot at times. Yeah. And, he's a little bit short, really good with words. And when I give an opinion about his team, he takes that as if it's fact and how his team will be and wants to, come out and, maybe just, end me. Right. So I would like people to know that if it wasn't for this podcast, you might not have the content and the fodder to be able to come back at us. So, hey, make us eat our words. We're here. We're doing this for the people. And we respect the criticism and your thoughts on your own team.
Yeah, I agree. I think I know exactly the hothead East Coaster you're talking about.
Okay.
And his buddy, Joe from New Jersey. Ryan.
Ryan. Yeah, Ryan.
I can't stand that guy. That guy's such a dick.
No.
Honestly, ruins my day sometimes.
They usually do.
Yeah.
Randy Ferg, though, nice guy.
Randy Ferg kind of addictive.
Well, I mean, yeah, but Midwest dick, so very different, very different. Yeah, which, hey, at times not as good. So these are our power rankings. Will we have more clarity next week? I don't see a lot of change at the very top. I believe Herbert plays. No. Sorry, I'm wrong on that. But I don't think we'll see a lot of change in the first two.
I think you'll see either Matt Nick or Herbert push their way into the bye week, and then you'll see maybe one or two of the contenders push their way into the playoffs.
Exactly. Yep, a couple big weeks, and you can really sit on your laurels a little bit with that points for, get some insurance. So this is what we have. You can push our why don't you go ahead and push that away. We will head on over into our matchup previews here, and we will start. Let me go ahead and share my screen here, and then I will do this for Berg forms. Forgot to pull up the forms, Berg. I apologize. All right, here we are. Go to forms. See, the one issue that I have with these forms is, where are my forms? Here we go. Is that they're all labeled the same thing. So I got to now hover over it to figure out which one I need to look at. So Berg, I know that you give me a lot of constructive criticism, and I welcome it each and every week. If you could just put the matchup, not the number on that first, I would greatly appreciate it. So let's head on over to the scoreboard here. And why don't we start with the man himself, Berg. So let's head over to the box score here. We'll minimize this because it's just being annoying. And we've got Harlan's Hogs versus Just Here to Beat Dan. So we've got a projection of 96.3 to Berg versus 93.3 to Toy.
Yeah, so I think that Berg's team, even with JT out, isn't as big, isn't down as bad as you might think, having the number one overall pickup being out. Antonio Gibson has been reliable. It is a good plug-in. DJ Moore's coming on a little bit. Obviously, you don't want to start Devin Duvernay, but they are. I think with that being said, I think Toy's team is quite a bit on the rocks. And Tampa Bay offense is getting going, so a touchdown Lenny's not getting those touchdowns. I think it'll be a close matchup. I've never done well picking Berg, so I'm not going to start. I am picking Toy to win this one.
Okay.
But I do see a scenario where Berg could get the upset.
I have a very similar opinion on this. I think that Berg's team could boom this week. Actually, I think that there's a lot of possibility. I mean, you look at Aaron Jones versus Detroit. DJ Moore has Temple grad PJ Walker throwing him the ball. DJ to PJ seems to be like the connection. And then Kyle Pitts is starting to get more involved in that offense. I am going to roll with Toy, but Berg rattling off another win, getting to 3-6, just because I do have him in the bleak category. Told him it was even, later than that. I do have Toy. I think Harlan's Hogs is reeling after this week. Jonathan Taylor's injury probably comes out as even more serious, and Antonio Gibson is in that RB2 slot heading forward, and he still has to get through Aaron Jones's bye.
Great.
So I've got Toy. We've got two Toys in this one. So let's head on over to Chris versus Team Cole. So take us away.
Yeah, obviously, since we're not recording this on Wednesday, we are getting a little taste of what could happen. Seeing Miles Sanders go out for some points is an aid to Chris. In this matchup, I'm gonna take Chris. I think the problem is Cole starting Allen Robinson and Freeman. D'Onta Foreman has been a dog. I think he put up 30 points last week. Yeah, I just don't see that happening again. Carolina's going up against Cincinnati, which is not the Falcons. So I don't see Carolina just putting up a ton of numbers. So in this case, and maybe it's a gift from seeing a bit of the future, but I am.
Yeah, I am going to roll with Chris in this one as well. I think this is fairly even matched. I will say, in somebody who played against Cole last week, playing against Taysom Hill might be my least favorite player to play against.
You just don't know.
You really don't know. Like if I'm playing against Cooper Kupp, I know it could be 25.
Yeah.
But then if they're inside the 40, you're just hoping Taysom Hill is not at quarterback and breaks off a 35-yard run for a touchdown. So he is frustrating to play against. I think Allen Robinson, is one of the X factors. Obviously, I'm not saying that Chris's team in this case is far and away above better, but I do like it. Obviously, we saw Miles Sanders go above projections, so finds a way to win. Yep. So we both got Chris here. So let's head on over to Herbert's Heroes versus Rhabdomyolysis is for PU money. Take us away.
Yeah, I think you are seeing Shaw's team reeling. Matt Ebert does not have an RB2 in right now. The Gus bus has crashed last week, and it is burning to the ground. So I think look for Ebert to put in a claim. Does he have anyone on his bench? No, he does not. But I can't imagine Paris Campbell's going to be on the bench much longer. Yeah, look for Ebert to put in a claim, and I know the running back situation is thin out there on the waiver wire. I've looked. So with that being said, I am still taking Ebert to win. I think the players he does have are far and away better than the players Shaw has. Shaw having to start Garrett Wilson and Caleb Huntley is not good.
Yeah, and he's got Mac Hollins in the
Ooh,
flex.
Did not see that. Oh God, that's gross.
Yeah, I think Tyler Bass could have 15 points this week against the Jets
I don't think so.
because they just hold him to a lot of field goals. They're not going to score any
That's
touchdowns.
true, but I just don't see them getting past the 50.
That's true. That's true.
They're not growing.
Yeah, the Gus Bus is an interesting one. 'Cause he's questionable to play, and that's a Monday night game.
Oh, yeah, I think he gets off the Gus Bus. I don't think we see the guys being held up.
Yeah. And Mac Hollins is in there, who had one big week. I picked him up, sent him back to waivers very early on, just like Kadarius Toney.
Oh man, yeah.
So, yeah. So I will take Herbert's Heroes in this one. So we've been along. Oh, and and since I totally messed this up for Berg, I apologize. So we have a even split. We've highlighted Chris and Cole's matchup. The people 50-50. And if you are watching this, please go in and vote, and we will update it. We've got 8. The reason I say that it's a loss if the people don't do it is because not everyone does it. Now, I think everybody has done except for Milk. He's not going to watch this, so if somebody could text Milk. We've got 50-50 on Cole. We've got Shaw versus Matt Ebert. The people are writing Ebert, but it is a lot closer. It's 5-3. And then we do have who did we just highlight? Berg and we did do Berg and Toy. And the people are writing Toy. We were writing Toy as well. So we are with the people here. That's where the money is coming in. So let's head on over to I Like It Raw versus Baby Don't Hurts Me No More.
Yeah, I think this matchup, of course, Dallas goes for 20. It's just getting stupid at this point. I am hoping for a Matt Nick victory. I would like to see Matt Nick push his way into that bye week stud, just given how active he's been in the league. And now he's not masturbating that we know of. He got a lot of focus on this fantasy season. The Hawk going to Minnesota. Watch for the Hawk to get nuts in Minnesota debut. With that being said, though, I do think Devin Singletary stinks, and Nyheim Hines gets like 2 or 3 tutties, so I am taking.
This is a tough one. I mean, Dallas Goedert is looking like the absolute steal of the draft outside of Amon-Ra. You know, I mean, it's just kind of crazy. I do think this is a gosh.
Alvin Kamara, how do you think he plays with the video game?
I mean, he's got like 1 game left, so.
True. Is it like, leave it all out on the field?
Yeah.
Kind of game? We've got to put film out there for the jailhouse.
Stephon Diggs. I'm going to roll with I Like It Raw here. I don't think TJ Hawk's first week in Minnesota system does much for him. And with 20 points already from Dallas Goedert, obviously we saw the future a little bit. So I am going to roll with Jake here. So the people are split on Matt Nick versus Jake, which I think is fairly accurate.
Yeah, that's fair. And had we not seen the future, I think
I might roll Matt Nick. So let's head on over to, hey, you're not my matchup of the week, actually.
It feels good to not be targeted in matchup of the week. I think we know who I'm going to pick. I think we know who anyone would pick in this situation. I'm really proud of my move of going to get Drake London. It's being able to not think of the sunk cost fallacy with Kadarius Toney and being man enough to drop him. To go out and try and get this win this week is big. And
oh, we have some visitors. Hello. All good. We had some friends of the pod actually just stop by.
They pay a lot of money for rent here. They keep this place in a nice spot.
I know. So I appreciate that.
Hey,
So,
no problem.
yeah, can't wait for catering to come. So,
Yeah.
I don't think because of the down payment that you're going to be able to pay out first place this year. So,
well, that is true. So I'm banking on winning.
First, third, and seventh. All right. So you've got yourself here.
Yeah.
This is a weird matchup for me because I think that he is far and away has the advantage at running back. You far and away have the advantage at wide receiver. And obviously we saw AJ Brown already go for 13 with Devonta Smith going for 3. Gosh. I'm going to roll with you in this one. I think it's going to be a low scoring affair. And I think that you do eke it out. I think you see Daniel Carlson, who
absolute
dog. I got you in this one. All right. Let's head on over to my matchup of the week, which is
my matchup of the week as well.
Which is me versus Nick. I had one of us in bleak category, one of us in contender category. Take it away.
Yeah, so I really think that this matchup is what paves the way for one of these two teams playoffs. I'm not sure that one will, but I think if one is going to, they're going to need a win this week. Obviously we saw the future a little bit with Dameon Pierce being an absolute dog going off. But I think Nick's team with DeAndre Swift being that big stinker and with it being Jamal Williams' season, he is going to struggle. He's really got to hope for big weeks out of Waddle. And if Boyd kind of works out, I think we brag on teams a lot. Maybe it's nice this week because Nick's not here to defend himself, but I don't like Nick's team.
Elaborate.
I think his wide receiver position is thin. He's got Boyd, he's starting Palmer, and maybe that's because Sutton's on bye, but it's not really. Zeke is a shell of a man. I think Swift being a question mark for the rest of the season is just tough. Really the bright spots are Lamar and Etienne.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of Lamar and Etienne and Waddle, I'm not too loud.
That's fair. I mean, look at Toy's team. If he doesn't give up ETN, he's got Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's got Leonard Fournette. He's got Najee Harris. He's got ETN. And I think there's even one more running back in that mix. So, yeah, I've got myself in this one. I think that, I think in Nick's case, I think what gave him life is that Dameon Pierce had 139 yards, but did not find the end zone.
That is true.
So that was big, game in under projections, even with 139 yards. So I could see, Lamar Jackson at any point can go for 45. So does he have a Monday Night Miracle? Potentially. I do like myself in this matchup. I think that when you factor in tight ends and wide receivers, I just would 9 times out of 10 pick mine to beat that and far and away score. So I've got myself. So I think we were
just about even. I think it's because of our added benefit of seeing into the future.
I agree. So let's see where the people are riding. So let's head on over to matchups. We've got the people are riding Matt Ebert over Shaw. The people are completely split. Wait, no, where are you? Wait, I'm below. We've got the people riding Dan this week.
Love it.
And we've got the people riding Nick this week. So
that's a surprise.
But once again, that could have come in early.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's look at some of our other things. How many points will the Packers lose by at the Lions? We've got 4. Packers will win 34-24. Packers win 27-24, -10, -20. So I think that's a win. 8-3, and they will tie. Good responses.
Yeah, I think it's nice to see Berg adapting to a more realistic question. The Packers do know how to lose, so it's kind of cool to see.
Just like Berg's team.
Yeah, a lot in common.
Yeah. All right. So we have got worst use of fab. So obviously, would you like to speak for yourself here?
Yeah, I think if I were to vote, I did not vote this week. I would pick Kadarius Toney as well. I think that was a bad use of fab. He has scored 0 points on my team. He has never been in the starting lineup on his team while on my team.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a lunchtime. Oh shit! Waivers go through in 10 minutes. Kadarius Toney didn't have time. No excuses. Got off of him. Embarrassed it happened.
Yeah, and I know we did have a few submissions for honorable mention. Obviously, Mike Boone did get a lot of. I'm surprised not to see that one on here. 30 points, has not seen the starting lineup yet. And now you've got Latavius Murray, Melvin Gordon, Mike Boone, and Chase Edmonds. So very interesting backfield there.
And Aaron Rodgers, or was it the other honorable mention? Oh, it was Carson Wentz. Yeah.
Oh, Carson Wentz. Yeah. Yes. So
that was tough.
I'm surprised to see Curtis Samuel on this one because I think it did get him a few wins. I actually
Yeah.
think that one's better, and they get 2 votes there.
Yeah, I agree. That's surprising. I wonder if maybe someone's salty.
Yeah, probably. I did not vote in this, so Allen Robinson 22 is not a great one in my opinion. So, and 73 for Michael Carter is a lot. Obviously, I went for Isaiah Pacheco. I'm happy to fall on that sword. So, other prediction for this week: Matt Nick jerks off this weekend, ending his No Nut November bid at 6 to 7 days.
Probably already happened.
We will never know.
Yep,
we won't.
I do think if he does make it at least 10 days, it might be the nut heard around the world. And we would all know.
We do have Astros to win the World Series before the podcast is released, which could happen tonight.
It can happen tonight.
So if we get this out,
could be a hot take.
Phillies in 6, Eagles win 42-10. So Shaw, we appreciate your entry into this. Obviously, one of those did not come true, and the other one is impossible to come true at this point too, because it is 3-2 in favor of the Astros. So the last one we have is the Phillies get no hit again. And did you see the bad beat on DraftKings that happened?
No.
So DraftKings ran a special, and why don't you just fill a little airtime, and I will.
Yeah, you pull that up. So I was not ready to just start rambling, but I will. I think this week, let's talk Jets-Bills. I think the Jets are going to have a tough matchup this week against the Bills. I think it's going to be their hardest test. I don't think it's a test they are totally not ready for. Bills are out their top 2 safeties, which is a stat a lot of people forget about. And I do think it's going to be the game where Moore gets more love and is kind of happy he stayed with the Jets.
Do you think that the Jets keep it closer than the Packers?
Well, I think the Jets, this is a nothing to lose game for the Jets. This is a scheduled loss. Hey, week 9 we lose to those. That's how it's going to happen. So it's an everything to gain, nothing to lose. I think it's within 10 points at the worst, and then the best is obviously a Jets blowout. I think that's
okay.
The range.
So we have 10 points. So they will cover 10.
Yeah.
Okay. So they will do better than the Packers. They might lose. They could lose by 9. But they won't lose. They won't lose by 10 or more. They won't lose by more than 10.
More than 10. They could lose by 10.
They lose by 10. Okay.
Could go on. Touchdown could be possible.
All right. So DraftKings Sportsbook offered a bet last night. This was a few days ago. For the made 3-pointers combined with Philly hits. The over-under was 19.5. That night, the 76ers lost to the Washington Wizards, but it made 19 3-pointers. The Phillies had 0 hits in Game 4 of the World Series. That prop bet did not hit because the over-under was 19.5.
So did the Sixers game happen before the Phillies game, or were they at the same time?
That one, I believe, was when the Sixers played at 5 to accommodate. So, yes, it happened before. All they needed was one hit. You need one hit, and they got no hit.
But I can imagine it took the under.
I mean,
amazing.
Yeah, amazing. Amazing.
The entire time.
Yeah. I mean, you're just it's a scheduled loss at that point.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, I lost somebody. You go back in. Yeah, if you're a Phillies fan, you're mad about that because obviously you don't want to be no hit and lose to the Astros. So that brings us to the end of Fantasy PD. Nick, we did miss you today. I look forward to duking it out tomorrow as we do take it down here. So would you like to bring us home?
Yeah, I thank you all for joining us in our new spot. We will see if we have the budget for more than 1 week. We are on a weekly lease, so we paid the lease week 1. So we'll see if you join us here or back at our dingy apartments next week.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And thank you for bringing us home, Matt, Nick. I will be in conversation because of this new studio. We might be looking a little bit more aggressively into sponsorship. So I don't want to name the trucking company that we're going to ask about, but I look forward to potentially negotiating and doing business together.
Yeah, if he doesn't sponsor this pod, I will sign on to the trucking company's Facebook when I'm in the Cayman Islands and tweet.
Okay, that was.
Can we cut that out?